Well, my name is Betsy Davis, and I am the Director of Community Services at the McPherson County Community Foundation. And thank you so very much for coming. Today we are going to talk about the county as a whole. So we have been to all communities except for Inman so far, to talk individually to the cities, individually to talk about their data, and we are going to do the entire county as a whole this afternoon. So again, this is the McPherson County, so community of McPherson and surrounding areas. This also includes results from Roxbury and Elyria. They did not, and Windham. So we had some folks that weren't included in some of our maybe core communities, but were included in the data as a whole. Whoops. Again, like I've mentioned in the other communities, the reason behind doing the survey data and collecting the survey data is so that we have a better understanding of how best to serve our communities. If you are in a position where this data would be helpful for you, I do say please use it as it would be helpful. We have contracted with a group out of Ohio, Innovative Economy Partners. And one thing that's really nice about them being separate and kind of not known in this area is that the data really just speaks to them, as far as like they don't understand, they don't see the nuance, they don't know the people's names that are coming up. So really it's the data that's speaking. It's not their other information they may have from just experiencing the life in town. So if you look on the back, you can see who took the survey. So first off, last year we had a little over 600 folks take the survey. This year we grew 50% to almost 1,000. Our goal was 885, so thank you very much. Can I have a show of hands of everyone in the room that took the survey? Wonderful. I really appreciate that, and thank you to all of you who shared it out and encouraged family and friends to take it. Having as much data as we can really helps us have a better picture of what's going on and what the perceptions are here in McPherson County. Something I do want to note, if you look at the age profiles, we got similar information from especially the working ages, but we did have kind of a slump in our younger population. This is something we targeted specifically, and hopefully we see that increase next time. Also, as we're looking at the bottom, you'll note that there were 318 people who, when they took the survey, expressed an interest in volunteering. That is 33% of respondents. That is wonderful news. That is a real asset to our county, and I hope that we can utilize some of those folks when working on some of our priority projects. So looking at page 2, you will see 2 columns, one that says what makes our community special, and one that says the leaders that make our community special. We are going to take a little bit of time now, so you have a chance, if you haven't already, to kind of read through those. And you may look at that name word cloud and think, oh my gosh, I need a magnifying glass because some of those names are super tiny. Do your best. I know that's really small. This is everyone who is listed for the whole county. So if you were listed on someone's in Inman or Windham or Marquette, the names are on there. One of the things I really like about this part of the survey is that we didn't generate any of the responses. These are completely organic from the respondents who took the survey. And so if you would just look, read, and see if you see anyone who is missing. So when we went around to the different communities, we included the gray bar on everyone's just so they could have a comparison to the county as a whole. So when you're looking at the confidence in our local economy, remember this is county. So looking at the economic perceptions, overall, our current perceptions are pretty okay. We are much more optimistic about the future. When we look at the businesses needed in our county on that top of page 4, Please do remember that this is county, so if you're like, McDonald's, we already have a McDonald's. That might not have been mentioned in your community, or in McPherson, because there is a McDonald's here. I also wanted to point out that we have our data reporters, innovation economy partners, have included some data for context. This data was gleaned from the United States Census Bureau and the American Community Survey, excuse me, I was like, what does ACS stand for? American Community Survey, and these are things that are collected between census years. And again, this is to provide context for which the perceptions are being, that the perceptions happen in. So if you see that there's a lot of like really poor thoughts about your current economy and you look and see that, oh, my community or the county just lost a bunch of jobs, that might explain some of the perceptions. So that's why it's there, just to kind of provide some context. So looking at community engagement, we're going to turn the page. Confidence in our local community. This is color-coded based off of what kind of confidence, or not confidence, commitment. The blue is personal commitment. This is the community deserves my loyalty. The community's problems are my own. The community is personally important to me. The red is local leadership and trust in local leadership and how newcomers and how transparent leadership is. And the final one, the kind of the yellow, is the confidence in vision. So how do we do things? Do we plan? Do we execute? Do we know what's going on in our community? And so as you can see, all of these things for McPherson, so the 50%, all of them are above 60% except for the planning. And that was pretty consistent across the communities, that everyone is high. There's obviously there's going to be highs and lows throughout. And all of them have experienced a increase since last year's questioning, with the exception of the planning. All right, so let's look at the priorities that were provided by the communities as a whole. Again, we're looking at the county-wide, and we are seeing that, again, for color coding, we've got health, that's kind of red. Yellow or orange is placemaking. We have economy being green, and people and leadership being blue. Childcare is included on here, but it is all by itself. So we see across the top, our priorities are, as a county, are placemaking, health, and economy in the top 5, with leadership coming down about in the middle. There's quite a bit of change from last year. We've got some pretty big gains in attracting new businesses as a county, as well as improving public infrastructure. We saw some decreases in removing blight and access to affordable childcare, as well as housing. And I talked to the group this morning about how these were figured. So out of the 973 people who participated in the survey, they were allowed to pick their top 5 priorities. And so they weren't weighted, it was just yep. And so we looked as a whole, totaled how many scores there were for infrastructure and all the rest of the categories, and then divided it by how many people took the survey. So with public infrastructure, and it's 62%, so with 973, 700 people said that was one of their top 5 priorities. So that's how those were figured, just in case anyone was curious. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. And I hope those conversations were helpful and insightful, and you were able to take something away from them. I'm going to have my facilitators, if you would please, kind of give a rundown, like a 30-second spiel.
Testing.
Oh, boy.
Succession planning. We actually had vision and mission, because it could be, there's some good within pockets of communities. Trying to see, make sure I don't leave this other group out. They gave some really good examples of internships. And again, all of these are going to have areas that we could grow within too. So, I put listening down. And then currently happening related to solving the issues, trying any type of better communication. People aren't afraid to try, and reflecting on that and seeing changes you can make.
Did you have anyone?
Volunteer opportunities again. So I see it a lot in the schools. We have a lot of people come in and read with children. That also helps with soft skills, which we see kids struggle with. Question 3, I didn't do a good job of one of examples from other towns.
That's okay.
Okay. But the last one was a big focus of ours. One of the biggest hurdles, we talked about social media and miscommunication, where people are getting their information from. And then what do you see as the most critical 2 to 3 issues to address? There was a lot of alignment here, not just because I pushed it, talked about right away, but communication was always big. Vision was big with the first group I talked to, and then secession was also very important. And I was so happy it was brought up because secession was brought up in Mount Ridge's individual one too, because we have a lot of businesses that are coming. Grocery store is a good example of who's going to take that over.
Or even volunteer organizations too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then trainings and how to get information out about trainings for leadership, such as Kansas Leadership Center.
Share your quote.
I'll probably butcher it, but we have like a poster that, in our principals, I think, live by it, or administration, but it's leadership is action, and it's not a title. So,
Thank you.
there you go.
Thank you much. All right, I'm going to come over to Milton. Maybe not as thorough of a summary as we got from Cody. We will run out of time.
So my discussion was economic development. Some of our things to celebrate was good jobs, high wages, collaboration, placemaking, parks and trails. Something else to celebrate was the BPU having a low energy cost. Lots of churches, work ethic, something to celebrate. As far as things that are currently happening related to solving these issues, just being able to provide more housing, community incentives for developers to come to town. So some of our critical ones, like Corey was saying, I did struggle on getting those done. Strategic planning as a whole, as far as county-wide goes, just getting together, collaborating. Then housing was another critical one. So yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Milton. Holly, for placemaking, please.
We talked about assets in placemaking. We have great libraries. We have a library in every community but Galvin in our county. Collaborative efforts, working across our jobs with each other. We have a county spelling bee that we think is great. Message boards, Maxwell Wildlife Refuge, Coronado Heights. We have trails that are great. We have accessibility to social services. We have accessibility to senior centers and their services and programming, and that comes out of our libraries. We have great parks and rec programs. We have great arts programming. We feel like we have a lack of homelessness, which we talked about, maybe being lack of services here, and so they're going somewhere else. We talked about regional medical centers being close to us. We have proximity to I-135, and we have good small schools, primarily in our small communities. Issues that we're trying to resolve, and how's it going? We talked about that we have county leadership meetings that maybe should be happening more, again, with strategic planning. We need to do a better job of thinking and working as a county, no silos. we look at our county assets and we wisely determine what those assets are, and then we refine that and look at how we best utilize those assets collectively. Upkeep of historic and community assets, that seems to be a huge hurdle right now. And right now, fundraising for that is probably a little more difficult. Childcare, we have a childcare task force, and they're currently working on childcare subsidies from industry potentially. And then one of the things that was brought up at the very end of our discussion was we have a lot of colleges. What are we doing to create a college town vibe, and what are we doing to support our colleges? Receiving communications, that was the last one probably that we're trying to work on. Do we go ahead to the rest of this?
Yeah, the top 3 would be great.
Top 3. Our top 3. We had a mix of things. Of childcare and affordable housing came up in both conversations, communication, aging educational facilities that need to be kept up. We more people and more diversity in those people that are living here, and then vision sharing.
All right, thank you. And Chuck, highlights from community health, please.
All right, with community health, we had positive things to celebrate that we had 3 hospitals in a county with 30,000, which was a positive thing. They were celebrating that we were second at the bottom with priorities, celebrating that mental health was improving. The foundations of family that's going on in McPherson County is a positive influence there. Looking at the determinants of health and also with STEP MC services that were available in the county. What's currently happening, we looked at STEP MC, the Housing Coalition, hospitals working with the health department, the meeting that they have every 3 years with all the healthcare organizations, the Moundridge Hospital going to REH, and Community Foundation helping to connect the dots in there. What lessons they learned, we looked at the fact that EMS, there's just not enough paramedics, and seemed to be a consistent problem across the area, that it's not necessarily unique, that we kind of have the same issues as other locations. Newton partnering with the YMCA, looking at trying to build partnerships here. EMS agencies going to homes with paramedics was one thing that they're looking at in Lindsborg up there. What hurdles are present, kind of a double-edged one here. They looked at the availability of people, but then they also looked at the systems bandwidth to be able to work with those that were interested. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. We want more people, but we also don't have the people to work with them. So what do we see as critical issues? We've got workforce, skilled workforce, advocacy on the state legislature, being a voice in the capital, reimbursement rates, and then we also talked a little bit in our hurdles about Grace Med, that is a fantastic resource, that there seems to be a lack of knowledge on what all is available at Grace Med, and also that Grace Med is not just for low income, that anybody could go to Grace Med. But there seems to be a lack of knowledge in the county about what services are available there, and then it is available for anybody, and there's been turnover at some of the hospitals, so it is an option that they have there, but it's trying to get marketing campaigns out to get what those are, what's available there, and how we can build that up and save that organization.
All right, thank you very much. So to conclude, I did want to say we would like to continue our conversations that we started today and started throughout the county. We will be having we have 2 task forces that the foundation, the Community Coalition and the Child Care Task Force, that meet on a bi-monthly basis. But hopefully we'll be starting up, maybe not us, but maybe the county will be starting up some other conversations to kind of keep these ideas flowing, keep the communication happening, and help work on solving some of the problems and some of the priorities that we have in the county. In the meantime, if you guys have projects that you are interested in that deal with the priorities that we talked about today, the priorities in your communities, the priorities in your county, we would love to talk to you about your projects, and we do have some offers of grants for some Mastermind grants specific for these topics. Those are all live today, and so if you've got a project, you're maybe wondering if it would work, or just want to talk about it, please feel free to give me a call, talk to somebody else at the foundation, and just say, hey, will this work for a Mastermind grant? And with that, thank you guys all for coming. Thank you for your passion for your community, and thank you for your time.